On this episode of China Uncensored, beware of Chinese officials bearing gifts. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Do you remember a movie, A Nightmare Before Christmas? Jack Skellington is the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town. It was a pretty scary place. But then one day he finds a door that takes him to Christmas Town, and he tries his hand at being Santa Claus. But because he's fundamentally a scary monster, when he tries to be nice, he just ends up being more terrifying than usual. Well, that's kind of what happened to China's next premier, Li Keqiang, after a trip to Uncensored village in Hubei province late last year. It's been part of a PR blitz he and Communist Party leader Xi Jinping have been going on to some of the country's poorest villages. They handed out gifts of noodles, oil, meat, and candy, presumably all untainted. They've been saying it for 60 years, but now it's really going to happen. This is going to be the Communist Party that cares about the people and listens. Well, the villagers in Uncensored village must have taken that to heart because they sure must have been hoping Li was listening when more than 20 of them showed up in Beijing, literally begging him never to come back. You see, the problem is that, much like Jack Skellington, when Chinese leaders try to act good, it's even worse than when they're acting bad. Li's visit created utter chaos in Uncensored. Right before he showed up, to tell the villagers that they could feel free to petition, local authorities detained scores of villagers so they wouldn't petition. Of course, when the villagers went to Beijing to petition / beg Li never to return, they were detained again. So essentially, all these trips are little more than a photo op to give the impression that things are changing in China, when behind the scenes everything is just as horrible as ever. You keep hearing Xi Jinping saying he's going to fight corruption, and believe it or not, state-run media says Chinese leaders are doing a great job of it. Now, let me give these guys a little lesson in journalism. They just reported that Yunnan province would end the use of labor camps, but if you actually check with the labor camps there, they say they've never actually received that order. The problem with making up news is that all the different state-run media can't keep their story straight. In January, after weeks of reports that China was going to reform or eliminate the labor camp system, state-run Global Times reported that officials in charge of labor camps in at least 6 regions across China said they haven't heard anything about the system changing or ending. But even if they did make labor camps illegal, that wouldn't change anything. In China, rules are made to be broken, or more accurately, completely flouted, so corrupt officials can do whatever they want. Example, Liu Yuling is serving a 1-year term in a labor camp after petitioning authorities who forcibly demolished her home. Oh yeah, she's 6 months pregnant and works 14 hours a day. It's illegal for a pregnant woman to be sent to a labor camp, but you know, a constitution is just a suggestion, right? Actually, who knows? That could be your second child, and this might be just a way of taking care of that problem. So back to the petitioners. Petitioners have it hard in China. Since it's usually local officials they have complaints against, they can't go to local authorities, so they try to make their way to Beijing. Obviously, these corrupt officials don't really care for that idea, so they do everything they can to prevent petitioners from getting to Beijing. Many end up in black jails, basically filthy holding facilities that are off the radar, where inconvenient people can just disappear. Now, for years they've been denying black jails exist, but ultimately it just became too well known to deny anymore, so now all of a sudden state-run media is saying they do exist while ignoring the fact that they ever said they didn't exist. And if you're a low-level crony doing the dirty work for party officials, watch out, you're going to be a scapegoat. Now that's the rule of law. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.